Hey, I'm Josh, and this week I'm going to be just joshing around with coasters. You might be wondering to yourself right now, am I watching the coaster video or what? And yes, you are still watching the coaster video, and I'll explain to you what I'm doing in a moment. Ooh, it's a stick! For these coasters, I wanted to put a magnet in the middle. I thought maybe it would help simplify the cleanup and storage of them. I'm using neodymium magnets that I purchased on Amazon. These magnets are really strong, and I'm stacking up 3 in each coaster and just tapping them into place. For the coasters themselves, they are just half-inch plywood, and they're scraps actually left over from when I built my workbench several months ago. I had used a hole saw to cut holes in the bottom of the boards for ductwork for a dust collection system. And again, it wouldn't be a woodworking video without a belt sander. And right now I'm just using the belt sander to knock off the rough edges, before switching to the orbital sander to make them nice and smooth. I used a coarser grit sandpaper at first, and then I switched to a finer grit later on. This made them extra smooth. Hey, you remember that stick from earlier? Well, this is what I'm using it for. I'm cutting them into little plugs, and I'm going to use those plugs to fill in the cavity left from the magnets in the center of the coasters. I would use a dowel rod for the same effect, but I didn't have one, so I made one. I had a little scrap piece of 1x4 left over, and I just used a washer to round it down into the shape I needed. And if you didn't want to go that route either, you could just use some wood filler to fill in the hole. I personally didn't want to use wood filler on this one because I wanted to have a nice wood finish on the end product, and I know that the wood filler doesn't really take to stain or different things as well, just judging from the game board video that I made a few weeks back. And now I'm just using the orbital sander to sand smooth the excess off the plug. Eagle-eyed viewers out there might notice the tea light in the background. This is because I was shooting this video and the other video simultaneously. And if you don't know what video I'm talking about, it's the Iron Man video, and you should go watch it because it's pretty good. But then again, I am kind of partial to it because I made it. But it's good. Go watch it. After this one's over, of course. And if you do go watch that video right after this, then you'll notice that the coasters are in the background on that video. So, double Easter egg. For these coasters, I wanted them to have the same custom paint job that I did on the cornhole boards a couple videos back. And I'm using the same methods to do that. Just, on a smaller scale, because these are coasters and not cornhole boards. Now obviously, when you're making your own coasters, you don't have to do a Star Wars style. You could do anything you really want to. But I wanted to do a Star Wars because these are actually going to be a gift for a friend. And I'm kind of regretting that decision to do the Star Wars because these Imperial symbols are a pain in the butt. Oh my gosh, there's so much cutting involved. My wrists were killing me by the end of this. But it's worth it, because I think they look really cool when it's done. You'll see. For the Rebel symbols, I'm using the same paint that I've used in previous videos. It's an apple red with a gloss finish. I'm sure that there are different methods that may be better for this application, but this is the way I went with. And I'm pretty happy with how it's turning out so far. And I do want to mention for the Imperial symbols, I use the same flat black that I've used in past videos. I'd like to mention right now that my original plan was to just finish the coasters as they were, with the natural wood grain look and the paint. The reason I didn't go that route is because if you look really close at the coasters, there was some bleed through from the paint, and I'm not sure why that happened, but I wasn't very happy with it. And I actually went back and forth on this several days before I finally decided on using the shoe polish to give it a nice stained, weathered look. And I figured that would be okay, because that's one thing I love about Star Wars, is the dirty, lived-in look of everything in it. I'm masking off the bottom of the coasters right now because I'm going to apply a polyacrylic finish to it, and when I'm done with that, I'd like to apply a felt to the bottom, and I'm kind of afraid that the glue is not going to stick as well to the polyacrylic as it would just to bare wood. As I mentioned, I am using polyacrylic for the finish, and I'm doing 3 coats on each coaster, with a light sanding after the first coat. This next part of the video is actually reshot because I accidentally deleted my original footage. For the bottoms of the coasters, I'm using this thick craft felt that my wife got for me from the store. And I'm using this Fabri-Tac glue to glue it to the bottoms of the coasters. I got some on my arm and actually had to rip the hair out of my arm to get it off because it's so tacky and sticky. Basically, the steps for this part of the project just involved me tracing out the coasters onto the felt, cutting them out with scissors, and then applying them to the bottom of the coasters with the glue. And here we have all 6 of the finished pieces. And these magnets actually work really well and make it very convenient for cleanup and storage of the coasters.
Yeah, I'll be right up. I just gotta film this outro for the coaster video.
Well, there you have it. Not much time, a little bit of effort, some materials. You can have your very own coasters. All it took was some scrap wood, some paint, some finish, a little bit of felt and some glue. And if you want to add that nice little extra touch there, just put a little magnet in there. Works pretty well. I'm Josh, and thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time. Superman, could you pass the sugar, please? Superman? That's okay. I'll get it. Pretty good tea.